We will follow them to the gates of hell until they are brought to justice.
It's one of the administration's toughest statements on ISIS, but this message is making troops frustrated and confused, according to some sources. As one retired Army officer recently said, U.S. soldiers in Iraq to me yesterday follow ISIS to the gates of hell. We're not allowed to follow them out of the front gate of our base. So do the troops feel this way? And if so, why? Here to weigh in, former counterterrorism advisor for Homeland Security, Joshua Katz. Joshua, thanks for coming on this morning. So
thanks for having me, Tucker.
What do you think the reaction from the frontline troops is to the vice president's statement and the administration's position generally on ISIS?
Well, Tucker, as a former Army Ranger with the 75th Ranger Regiment, a former operations officer with CIA, and as you said, a senior advisor with to Congress, I have never seen morale, unfortunately, this low. Morale right now is tanking, and I think that there's two main reasons for that. First is what you're hearing, what everybody's talking about. It's a disjointed message coming from the administration. The vice president, the president don't seem to be on the same page. But the other side of the coin here is what's going on with Congress. It's something that very few people, I think, are talking about. You're going to have people on throughout the day here on Fox, congressmen and women, who are going to talk about what they knew about ISIS, about what's going on. But if they've all known about this threat, I think we have to ask them the question: what have they been doing about it? How have they been pushing the administration? Right. Then let's also look at sequestration, because sequestration is also another major factor. And everybody that I'm talking to, from the intelligence community to SOCOM to just the regular Army, about their effect on morale. There's a lot of things here that are beating down our men and women on the front line.
Right. Well, that money, of course, going to things like food stamps that really matter. So can you put a finer point on it? Why are the troops discouraged? Why is morale low? Because they believe the administration is indecisive, because they don't know what the plan is, or because they do know what the plan is?
I think it's very, very complex. It's because there is no plan coming out of the administration. You hear the president say one thing, the vice president say another. Our troops on the ground are not being utilized in the manner that they're trained. For instance, my former regiment, the 75th Ranger Regiment, has been deployed in an advisorial and defensive operation in Iraq. That's not the way that my former unit's been trained. So what we see is the administration misusing key military assets because they really don't know anything about the military, and their defense, they're not really listening to people at the Defense Department. Again, I've said this time and time again, the National Security Council is really being run by politicians, not being run by national security professionals.
Yes, and finally, the White House has said repeatedly that the U.S. is not going to send troops physically to the region to fight ISIS. Do you think that's true, and can they hold to that?
Well, we know, Tucker, it's absolutely not true, right? The administration is now going to a second deployment of actual troops, and so we know that that's not true. But what we need to sort of see is we need to back up and ask the president, okay, let's not let the mission creep set in here. Let's go back. Let's identify what the goal is. He still hasn't done it. Right. Let's develop a strategy, and then let's execute that. But what he's doing is he's really endangering American servicemen and women by not having that comprehensive strategy.
Exactly. What is the goal? That is the key question. Thanks for reminding us of that this morning. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.